Now, why do you, in your honest opinion, Al, why do you think Cloughy failed? I mean, there's people that says he didn't have the players on his side, the players wasn't playing for him. The Leeds United team, you were all getting to a certain age, and probably one or two players would be moved out within the next few seasons. But Brian, if memory serves me right, I think did he bring in Duncan McKenzie, John O'Hare and John McGovern quite quickly? Was it just too much too soon? What's your opinion?
I think, looking at Brian, how, Brian's arrogant, people say he's arrogant and what have you, and he'll call a spade and what have you.
Yeah.
I've nothing against that. I mean, I tend to be like that if I was honest. And I'd rather have people like that than someone who are two-faced and what have you.
Yep.
But the way I look at it, I think Brian Clough was the right manager at the wrong time.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is that great side, and I'll tell you now, call me biased, but that's one of the greatest teams this country's ever seen, ever likely to see.
I agree.
Because when you think about it, and they're going about Alex Ferguson with the famous six, if you like. Mm. Well, let me mention the famous Gary Sprague, David Harvey, Paul Reaney, Terry Cooper, Jack Charlton, Norman Hunter, Peter Lorimer, Billy Bremner, and Eddie Gray. Now, I don't know how many I've counted there, but if you look at that lot I've just mentioned, compared with the famous six, I know I would have in my team.
Yeah.
I know I'd have in my team. Mm-hmm. Now, that great side, only three players he bought was Josie from Man U, Mick Jones from Sheffield United, and me from Leicester City. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, when you look at that, when Brian came in, as I said, he was the right manager at the wrong time.
Yep.
Now, if he'd have come, because we're all getting older by the time he came, we're all getting older. So if he'd have come when majority of that Gaffer's team weren't there anymore, it would have been a lot better for him, if you know what I mean.
I do, yeah. Yeah.
Because how do you better what he's done for that club? Very, very difficult.
You almost can't. I remember the famous interview with Don Revie and Brian Clough on Yorkshire TV, and Brian says, well, I wanted to win the league better than you did, and he says, well, you can't.
You can't.
And for what Leeds United did, I mean, we said that at the early part of the show, when you look at the runners-up, when they won the league, everything that Leeds won, almost impossible to replicate that or better that. Like you said, do you think that was one of the reasons that...
I'll tell you another thing, Paul, while I'm remembering, because I tend to forget it at 73 years of age. But, you know, like the FA Cup third round draw?
Yep.
It used to be on the radio. It's on television now, but it used to be on the radio on a Monday lunchtime, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes, no, I do, yeah.
This is when the FA Cup third round, where the first and second division clubs come into it, like with third and fourth and non-league. Well, across the road from Ellen Road, there used to be a calf called Sheila's Calf.
Yeah.
Which ended up, Terry Orriff went out with the daughter of the people who owned the calf.
Right.
But we called it Sheila's Calf. Now, after we finished training, all of us used to go into this calf, but we go into the back room, which is like their lounge, the owner's lounge, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They'd make us a cup of tea and that. And we'd be listening, all the players, after training, that's how close we were, we'd listen to who we've drawn like.
Yeah.
All the time. I mean, that's the spirit of the club. We were like one. If anybody kicked one of us, we all bled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And with Don Revie going to manage England, and Brian had said in that interview, you must have been so close to going to England, because I think you wanted a pop at the European Cup, and Don Revie said, yes, you're absolutely right, I did.
Yeah, that's right.
Being hypothetical, and we can't do that because you were all of a certain age, if you were all, say, in your mid-20s rather than your late 20s, and the team was almost ready to be broke up, I personally, looking from the out, looking in, I don't think Don Revie would have liked to have broke you up with the closeness of Leeds United. And I think
Billy always said this.
Yeah.
And I tend to agree with him, is that the gaffer, he couldn't have said to any of us, well, I'm not going to pick you anymore, son. And I think you're right. You're thinking that. You're all right. He wouldn't have wanted to do that. He wouldn't have wanted to do that.
I mean,
no. That's how close we were. We're like family.
Yeah. I don't think there's, again, been a club as close as what, Leeds United were, because, I mean, you used to play carpet bowls and bingo, and it was something that Don Revie brought to England, but it didn't work with them players because some things you can do with the club side, you can't do with the international team, can you? Because
of course you can, because you only seen about 6 times
exactly.
Where you're seeing them every day.
Exactly.
I mean, I can remember we're going for the league. Well, we went to the league every year, but we're coming towards the end of the season. I can remember we were playing Newcastle on the Saturday at St James's Park.
Yep.
So obviously we've gone off on the Friday from Leeds to Newcastle.
Yep.
I think on the Tuesday night we played at Newcastle on the Saturday. On the Tuesday night we got Arsenal.
Yep.
And I think Arsenal were just above us or something, but if we beat them, and I think Big Jag got the winner, so we went above them, but on the Tuesday night. Now, we've gone from Friday up to Newcastle, played Newcastle at St James's Park on the Saturday. Instead of coming home to go home to your wife for the weekend because they were playing Tuesday, this match towards the end of the season, from Newcastle, we went to Ilkley, which is near Ossett, to this hotel we used to stay at. We went there. Our wives came to see us on the Sunday at this hotel as we were playing Arsenal on the Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. Leeds were different class. Your England career, because we'll touch upon that before I get into some more basic my 70s questions, a bit more quick fire. Your first game for England was your debut in the 1970 World Cup finals. It was certainly your first goal, Czechoslovakia, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I remember making my under-23 debut in '67, the Fulham player, and funnily enough, we're playing against Wales under-23, and we're playing at Molineux, Wolverhampton Wanderers ground, which is in the West Midlands. And I used to go up to Molineux in the 50s, to watch them. And I can remember it would be the Wednesday night, but Tuesday night, Walsall, where I started, they were playing an home match in the league at Fellas Park. They've got a different ground now, Walsall, but they're playing at Fellas Park. And Alf took us to Fellas Park, Alf Ramsey, and I had a photograph with the chairman, Bill Harrison, his name was, and his son took over before I left. And had photographs, and on the Wednesday night, I made my debut with under-23s against Wales, and we beat them 8-0, and I got 4 goals on my debut. Anyway, I was banging goals in for the under-23s. I was included in every full squad because they are the world champions,
Yep.
But I never got a game.
Yep.
So I can remember going out to the World Cup in Mexico, and I said to my wife Margaret, I says, I tell you what, if I don't get a game in these championships, I said, if it picks me next year, I'm not going to go. Because when you look at the under-23s, which is under-21s now, it's the same as under-23s, you'll see a lad, even in my day, probably not so much my day, but after Alf, if you like, whoever's, they make progress from the under-23s to the full squad, they get a cap straight away.
Yeah. So
I've been going from 67, we're now 70, and I said to Margaret, I said, if I don't get I'm not going again. Anyway, we're based in a place called Guadalajara, we're in a nice easy group of Brazil, Romania and Czechoslovakia. I'm being sarcastic now.
I know you are.
But anyway, so the day before, because I did have gastroenteritis while I was there. When we were playing Brazil, I was in bed with gastroenteritis for that. But anyway, the day before the Czechoslovakia game, and we needed a win to qualify for the quarterfinals. So he pulls me to one side and he says, Alan, he says, I'm going to play you tomorrow, son. I went, oh, and I thought, gosh, that's great. And then he says to me, I think you're ready now, son. I went, oh, I've been ready for 3 years, pal. But anyway, we're having a team meeting, day of the game, and obviously I'm making my debut, although I've been with them since 67, so I'm all familiar with them. But he says, right, he says, if we have a penalty, because I would have volunteered straight away, like, but I'm making my debut, but I'm thinking, well, the more experienced players will probably volunteer straight away, like, and he said, if we have a penalty, he'll take it. Well, nobody was volunteering, like, and I said, I'll take it off. He said, good lad, because it seemed an eternity before I said, I'll take it, like, because I was waiting for a more experienced players, like. But anyway, he said, I said, I'll take it. He said, good lad. Anyway, as I scored from the pen, we won 1-0. And Les Cocker, our coach at Leeds, after I got out the bath, he went, Alan, he says, you know when you're taking it, he says, Alf was funny. I said, what are you on about, Les? He said, you know when you're placing the ball on the spot? Because he sat with Alf in the dugout, and Al Shepperson was the Middlesbrough coach, he was the other trainer. So he says, Les, he says, will Alan score? So Les says, you what, Alf? He says, will Alan score? So he says, I said to Alf, he says, Alf, you can put your mortgage on him, he won't miss. I sent him the wrong way. Lovely story.
Another penalty that you didn't miss was against Poland.
The wrong way as well, and Cluffy called him a clown. He got voted goalkeeper of the tournament in West Germany, Tomaszewski.
That was an unbelievable night, wasn't it? I remember watching that. I was about 8 years of age.
We only had to win 1-0, 2-1. We were 1-0 down, like, no pressure, 100,000 watching, like, you know, at Wembley. But I sent him the wrong way.
But it was an amazing night. We had so many chances, didn't we? And Tomaszewski made some great saves, and then other times the ball had hit him on any part of his body. As you say, Cluffy called him a clown. But
yeah,
he did have the game of his life.
Top keeper in that tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were Olympic champions going into the tournament, and say in the World Cup I think they come third in the World Cup as well. Poland were a damn good side.
Tell you now, that was one of the most one-sided international matches I ever played.
It was, yeah, 100%.
And I tell you what, it took me at least 3 or 4 weeks to get over that disappointment, because the next day at my house in Leeds, I was arranged to do a television commercial for NatWest Bank.
Yeah. And
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I was so sick as a parrot. I couldn't do it.
It was incredible that England didn't qualify, and we didn't qualify till 1982 with all the great players that we had. Goalkeepers.
Well, Alf always said they won the World in '66, but in 1970 his squad was stronger and better, he said. And he went on record saying that all family.
Now, the nickname Sniffer, that come from a football-focused presenter, didn't it?
It did, you know, on Saturday, what did they have that at lunchtime? They still do it.
Football Focus, yeah.
Football Focus, There was, I nearly had his name then, Sam somebody. I met him when I played for home.
Sam Leach.
Because it's Sam Leach. He was a Scottish lad, wasn't he?
I'm not too sure, because he's a little bit before my time, but it's spelled Leitch.
I met him. He was based in London, and I met him when I played for Fulham. Sam, he was the stockiest. He was definitely a Scottish lad, but
yeah.
he used to use Football Focus. Well, our gaffer, we always like to watch Football Focus, which comes in at 12:30 till 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So whether we're playing at Ellen Road on a Saturday afternoon, or if we're playing away from home, we'd be in an hotel. So we'd have a room just for the players and that. And the gaffer, he let us watch Football Focus, and he'd have his team talk at 1 o'clock in the hotel or in the players' lounge at Ellen Road. So we're playing Man United. I'm in the second season now.
Yep.
And this is where the name Sniffer came from. So we're in the second season. We're playing Man United, Charlton Road Best at Allen Road in the league match. So it is Sam Leach. You've got his name there. It is Sam Leach.
Yep.
So he said, he says, League, and we're all sat there quietly, like. So he says, Leeds United against Man United, Allen Road this afternoon. Now he says, the player that Man United will have to watch is Allan Clarke, and it shows you my first season banging a few goals in for Leeds. So when the cameras went back in the studios in London on him, it's all quite like, and he says, because like my nickname when I went there, because everybody got a nickname, because I was 6 foot, they used to call me Big Al. Yeah. Although I was thin as a rake, they used to call me Big Al, like. That was my nickname, Big Al. So he says, so when they show you these goals, he says, that's why his teammates call him Sniffer. Well, they just burst out laughing like, and it stuck. and everybody, and I mean everybody, even the gaffer and even the away teams and that, like, call me Sniffer. That's where I got it from. It was his fault.
Did you like that nickname?
Pardon?
Did you like that nickname, Al?
Oh, I didn't dislike it. I mean, it's just like a compliment. I sniff goals out.
You didn't just sniff goals. You scored great goals as well as sniff them in the 6-yard box. I
think when I hear people now, when I see people and that, and it is right. I mean, when you're kicking a football, Paul.
Yeah.
You know when you go for power and you drive it.
Yep.
You go for power, but the side of your foot.
Yep.
You can get more accuracy than if you're trying to go for power. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now.
Yep.
Billy had a gift about this thing, but I could hit a ball with the side of my foot as hard as if I'm like with my instep, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
And it must have been a gift I had, because Billy says, I can't believe how hard you hit the ball with the side of your foot and you get more accuracy.
Yep.
But I've heard people refer to me that says, if you ever saw Allan Clarke, he says he passes the ball into the net.
Yep.
And that is correct. And you don't see too many strikers who've got that. In fact, I ain't seen anybody. You know what I mean?
Pace and place.
Yeah, but you get more accuracy because I've seen from the edge, I've scored goals from the side of my foot just outside the 18-yard box.
Yeah.
But I've hit the target where from there, 12 yards out, they've gone for power. It's like, been better than the bloody rugby goals, like, it's miles over. They go for power, pass it, and I did pass the ball in the net, left foot or right foot.
And that's it, you were dual-footed, wasn't you? You'd score goals with your head, with your left foot and your right foot. Have you
but the thing is, though, when I left school and I joined Warsaw, like, when you're born, you're either left-footed, right-footed.
Yes.
I was a natural right-footed, and when I was at school, my teacher never said about, practice with your left foot, Alan. I just did what I did, like right-footed. Now, when I joined Warsaw, I used to get, the coach saw that I couldn't kick with the left foot, and to be, particularly as a striker, and as Paul Trevelyan calls, he don't say I'm a striker. He says he's a finisher.
Yep.
Big difference. He's a finisher. He calls me a finisher, not a striker.
Well, you were one of the greatest finishers that we've ever seen in British football.
I was up. It's our centenary year this year at Leeds United, and
yes, it is.
United Trust Fund. They hired this shop in the Merrion Centre in Leeds for a month, showing the memorabilia. Anyway, the chairman invited me to go and talk to the fans and what have you. Yeah. And also invited Paul Trevelyan. So I was with him a few weeks ago.
Oh, lovely.
He came up and he just says, he says he's not a striker, he says he's a finisher. And he says, I tell you now, he says, this is Paul Trevelyan talking to all the fans, the real fans. And he said, I'm a good friends with Jimmy Greaves.
Yep.
And now he says, Jimmy Greaves envies Sniffer Allan Clarke, because he says, he scored the winning goal. Now he says, Jimmy's played in the cup final, but he hasn't actually scored the winning goal. He's like, there's been more goals in it, if you like, but he says, he actually won 1-0 and he got the goal, and he says, I really envy Allan Clarke. This is Jimmy Greaves telling Paul Trippier.
Is it a favourite goal that you scored? I mean, one of my favourites of yours was, I think it was Tommy Docherty's first game for Manchester United as the new manager, and the ball's come out, you've picked it out the sky, I think with your right foot, you've turned and you've just...
Was that at Old Trafford?
Yeah, it was at Old Trafford, yeah. It was a tremendous goal, that was.
Yeah.
Have you got a favourite, Alan, that you scored out of your many, many goals for Leeds in England?
In answer to the question, there's like every goal I scored, I enjoyed every one of them.
Yep.
Every one of them. But I mean, the Leeds fans, obviously, the goal at Wembley, whether it's a diving header, whether it's a right foot, left foot, it's the only time we've won the cup. They'll always remember that. But like, they're all important to me.
Yeah.
It's like, we were 1-8 against Barcelona, first leg of the European Cup at Elland Road, and I got the win it, made it 2-1. We took a lead over to the new camp. It's important. But I can remember, like, my first visit to Anfield. I was playing with Fulham, and I think Liverpool that year won the league, but Johnny Haynes, George Cohen, Bobby Robson, Graham Leggett, youth and experience, we beat them 2-0, and I got both goals. And my second goal, I went on a run about 10 yards. I picked the ball up 10 yards inside Liverpool's half, opposite end of the Kop, and I went past Tommy Smith, I went past Chris Lawyer, and Tommy Lawrence, the keeper. I did him on his near post, and I remember when I got back home on the Sunday at my house in Chesington, I remember reading the report on it, and Bill Shankly, the manager, says, Allan Clarke's second goal was one of the finest goals I've ever seen at Anfield at that time. So some are more special than others, but to me, all goals, I enjoyed every one of them.
If you could replay one game that you've ever played in, what game would you replay and why?
Well, I think I was in my second season, and we're playing Burnley in a league match at Elland Road. Yep. I think it's my second season. And the scoreline was Allan Clarke 4, Burnley 0. We beat them 4-0. Got all 4 goals.
Wow.
And anyway, it won't happen today, but it did in them days. Anyway, you can imagine journalists, national journalists, local journalists, like Yorkshire Post, Evening Post, but I can remember Les Cocker and this journalist, a fella called Vince Wilson. He's a Geordie. He's big mates with Brian Clough, Vince. A lovely, lovely man. He died a few years ago, but he was living in Cheshire, and he used to go over there, and he'd come over here, him and his wife, and the big mates with Brian Clough. And he loved strikers, did Vince. So reporters and that, they couldn't get anywhere near the dressing rooms now, but they did in them days. But anyway, Les Cocker, this is what Vince told me after. Les had gone out to get some ice from the training room to bring back to the dressing room. And Vince says, Les and Vince knew, Les knew Vince. Like, he went, Les, he says, hello, Vince. He says, listen, he says, I need to talk to Allan Clarke. He scored 4 goals, like, you know, you don't score 4 goals very often. So he says, Les says, oh, he's in the bath. So he says, go in the dressing room. He says, what? He says, you can go in the dressing room, and he says, he'll get out the bath in a minute. So when I come out, walking out into the dressing room from the bathroom with some of the lads, I saw this fella, and I'm thinking, who the hell is he? He's sat in where my clothes are, like, to put my suit on and that. Anyway, he said, oh, my name's Vince Wilson. He says, I write for the Sunday Mirror. But he says, you've scored 4 goals, like, you don't score. He says, I wonder if you could just take me through it. And the way Vince went on with him, he said, the way he just went bang, 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 and he just, as if it's easy peasy, like. And we became great pals, you know. Right. And as I say, he went on holiday, him and Nora, with Barbara and Brian. And actually, Brian Clough, Vince told me this, when Cloughie and Peter Taylor of Forest, they were playing either Liverpool or Everton. So Vince where lives Cheshire, is not far near Manchester. He used to go across and see him. And he's having a bit of, this is a Friday night, he's having a bit of meal with Brian and Peter. So Cluffy says to Vince, he says, Vince, how much do you owe on your mortgage like? He went, what? He said, how much do you owe on your mortgage for your house? So Vince says, I told him a figure. He says, excuse me. So he says, he's left me with Peter Taylor. He comes back and thousands of pounds what he owes. He says, there's a cheque. He says, pay it off. He went, he paid his bloody mortgage off.
Flipping heck.
You know, you don't see that side of other people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he paid Vince's bloody mortgage off, Brian Clough, because he writes for the Sunday Mirror, and Clough used to have a column every Sunday, like, through Vince, and he's earning money off that, like, so he's just repaying him, if you like. Unbelievable.
But Cloughy was a very generous person,
wasn't
he? You know, he could cause an argument in a telephone box at times, but blimey, was Brian Clough a very, very generous person as well.
Paid his bloody mortgage off. Yeah.
Have you got any lucky ground that you played on, Al, or any unlucky ground?
I always liked playing at Anfield.
Okay.
Even with Fulham, because I think the impression I got, and as I say, my first visit, and we won 2-0.
Yeah.
Both goals for Fulham. But obviously, like whichever club you support, you want your team to win every match, which you hope they do, but they don't. But
yeah.
Even at Anfield, the Liverpool fans, what I noticed on my first visit, you play good football, they will applaud you.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that impressed me, that. So I always look forward to playing at Anfield.
If you could have a conversation with anyone, a one-to-one with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be? Who would it be with?
If I could have what?
A conversation, a cup of coffee, a beer, a cup of tea, a one-to-one conversation with anyone, dead or alive. Who would it be with?
Billy.
Sorry?
Billy Bremner.
You were very close, wasn't you? You and Billy.
Yeah, I think I was the brother he never had.
Mm.
Yeah, I think since he's passed away, which is about 22 years, I think now.
Yeah.
I wake up and every day of my life, I think about Billy some part of the day, and I will to the day I die. And I've always said they don't make players like him today.
What was special? What was different about Billy Bremner? Because, I mean, he was a great midfield player and he scored a lot of goals from midfield play and also a lot of important goals for Leeds United, didn't he? Absolutely.
And I mean, people say to me, who was the best player you ever played with or against? Well, I played against Leeds before I joined Leeds.
Yep.
And I played with some great England players, i.e. Bobby Moore, Gordon Banks, Alan Ball, Bobby Charlton. But for me, best player I played with and against, Billy Bremner, without a shadow of a doubt. He got absolutely everything, world class, absolutely. I mean, as you said, he scored a lot of goals for Leeds United, and he scored a lot of vital goals as well. He'd got everything. I mean, if you saw Billy in training, pre-season, we used to go on like 5-mile runs to get stamina. The gaffer used to give him 15 minutes start before he set us off because he weren't interested.
Yeah.
But give him a ball, put a ball to his feet, he'll run all day.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Unbelievable.
What's your most prized possession from your playing career?
My best pride, I think. Well, that's a difficult one because everything's got its... I mean, obviously, I did win the league.
Yeah.
I won the FA Cup. I would have loved to have won the European Cup.
Yeah.
But, well, as our fans shout, Champions of Europe, I'll go along with that.
Yeah.
But, and obviously, like anybody, as a professional, to represent your country, you can't ask any more than that. I mean, I was so proud making my under-23 debut against Wales at Molineux, but to make my debut for the full team in a World Cup in Mexico, to retain it, it was even better, like. So whatever sport you do, to represent your country, you can't ask any more than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's very proud. The only thing that I regret is that I should have had more caps when I was All-Framdy's number one. But I got 19 caps. I'm claiming 11 goals, but it might show me 10. But I played against Austria and I'm claiming an hat-trick. But they said I got 2, but I'll claim an hat-trick.
No.
So it was bad, but...
Do those goals against Scotland in the centenary game of 73, that the brace you scored, are you counting those as well?
I think so. I don't know.
I was going to say, because you had a goal disallowed against Scotland in 73, and then when you played up at Hampden for the centenary game, you scored a couple. We beat them 5-0. I think you scored 2. Martin Chivers scored. I think it was Mick Shannon's first goal for England as well that night. Jimmy
Greaves played that night as well.
Did he really?
Greasy played with me that night as well, and Billy led Scotland out.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether I've told you the story about Billy, have I?
What one was that? Go on. If you haven't, tell me.
No, towards the end of the game, we're 5 up or something like that.
Yeah.
And Martin Peters plays me a ball, but it's not coming to me quickly. And I saw Billy Bremner take off, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm dead here. But I wanted to lay it off to Bobby Charlton, but I can't shy away from it.
Yeah.
Because they'll say, oh, he's chicken Clarke, but I couldn't shy away from it. I saw Billy take off. But anyway, when he got about 5 yards off me, he just pulled up a bit.
Yeah.
So I'm able to knock it off to Bobby Charlton. I spun round, and anyway, the next day we're all flying back from Glasgow Airport to Leeds Bradford Airport, and I think Paul Madeley played that night as well for England, and the Scottish lads, there was Billy, Eddie Gray, David Harvey, I think played that night, although he's as English as you and I, and Eddie Gray. So we meet at the Glasgow Airport. So I went, morning, Bill. I says, he went, morning, now. I said, how are you? He said, how am I? He says, just got pretty stuffed last night. So I said, Billy, tell me. I says, just before the end of the game last night, I says, Bobby Charlton played me this ball or whatever it was. And I says, I saw you coming towards me, and then you eased up a bit and let me knock the ball off. So he says, Alan, the game was over, son. And he says, on Saturday, we're playing for Leeds United. And he says, I need you to get the goal to get a bonus, like. But he says, I'll tell you something else, son. If the scoreline had been 0-0, you'd have been dead. Lovely story, isn't it? Yeah. But that's the way it was.
Yeah.
That's the way it was.
Is there any player of the 70s that you would have loved to have played with that you didn't?
I think I played with them at Leeds United.
Yeah.
And with England.
Yeah.
Didn't need any more.
Any song or songs that evoke memories of your playing career during the 70s, Al? Was you a big music fan?
Oh, I like the music.
Yeah.
I mean, when we used to have dues, the gaffer, we all had to sing, we used to have like a sing-song. We all had to sing individually.
Okay.
And I used to go, catch a falling star and put it in your pocket, never let it fade away. I used to do the actions like.
Yeah.
And you know what Billy's was?
Go on.
I'm nobody's child. I'm nobody's child. You ain't got a brother of anybody, like. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Oh, I like to sing songs.
Now, there was, in the Shoot, do you remember the Shoot magazines? They used to have a focus.
I do. I did a few articles in that.
Yeah, you did. Well, we're going back to one. It was about 1974. It's a bit of a quick fire here. So it said, in 1974-75 season, who was your favourite player? What answer did you give?
Was it Dennis Law?
Dennis Law, yep, absolutely spot on.
Dennis Law.
Who did you say was your most difficult opponent to that date?
Mike England, Tottenham.
Sorry?
Mike England, centre-half for Tottenham.
Another Tottenham player, Phil Beale.
Phil Beale, eh?
Yeah, Phil Beale. He said, most memorable match. What answer did you give back in the mid-70s to that question?
Oh, I can't remember.
Too many to mention, which is pretty much what's come through in this interview. Your biggest thrill, what did you say was your biggest thrill in football?
Winning a cup?
Winning your first England cap.
Aye, that's right. Yeah.
Biggest disappointment?
Losing European Cup?
Losing the 1973 FA Cup final. To be fair, at that stage, you may not have played in the European Cup final. Yeah. So, yeah. Best country that you'd visited, what was your answer back then in the mid-70s?
San Francisco?
Yeah, it did say, yeah. Best country visited, America. Miscellaneous likes, what was your three answers to your miscellaneous likes?
I don't know.
Golf, tennis, and...
Golf, tennis. Go on.
Music.
Music.
What person would you most like to meet in 1974-75? Who did you say back then?
Tell me.
Jack Nicklaus.
Yes.
Your two favourite artists were, in the Shoot magazine, Football Focus on Allan Clarke. Two favourite artists, one was male, one was female.
Right, go on.
Shirley Bassey and Gilbert O'Sullivan.
Yeah.
And your two favourite TV shows were...
Go on.
Match of the Day and probably the best double act apart from you and Mick Jones.
Who's that?
Morecambe and Wise.
Yeah, I used to like them, mate. Yeah.
And Al, can I thank you so much for your time, sir? It's been an absolute pleasure walking down memory lane with you and revisiting those halcyon days of the golden age of football, the 70s.
Marvellous. And is it going to be in a magazine, this?
It will be on a podcast, and we'll send it over to you.
If you could send us a copy of it or something like that.
I've got your proper mobile number now. There's a picture of you and Billy when Billy was playing for Leeds, and you were playing for Fulham. Have you got that photograph?
Don't think so.
No? Well, I sent it to your old mobile phone number. I'll send it to your new one, and perhaps you can take it off and print it out and stick it up there in your front room.
I'll either get my wife or my daughter, because I'm not very technical. I can't do things like that.
Definitely. We'll link up and we'll do that. Cheers, Al.
You take care.
Cheers, mate. Those were the days, my friend.
Not the best days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Cheers.
pal. God bless. Cheers,
Bye.
Al. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.